Week 2 of the NFL preseason finds the Bolts in the Valley of the Sun. With the roster taking shape, there are position battles heating up on both sides of the football with opening day less than a month away. Tonight, another test as the Chargers take on the Cardinals in Arizona. Preseason football coming up next.
Looking for Floyd in the end zone. Bortles is picked by Eric Weddle. Down the break, left side. Rivers has time, has a man open. Touchdown, San
Diego! Nightfall in the desert where temperatures today in the triple digits. Luckily, it is much cooler inside University of Phoenix Stadium as we get you set for the second of 4 preseason games for the San Diego Chargers tonight in Glendale to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Hi, everyone. So great to have you with us inside the booth alongside the Hall of Famer Dan Fouts. I'm Spiro Thetis. We'll hear from Alex Flanagan in just a couple of minutes. The Chargers, 9 wins last season. Of course, all kinds of issues offensively in the running game. Danny Woodhead, Dan, was such a loss for this team. Broke his ankle, of course, in Week 3 in Buffalo. All indications are out of camp that he is just as explosive as he was before the injury.
Yeah, it was just one play last week against the Cowboys that showed the Chargers and Charger fans exactly what they've been missing last year. And that's the special ability to create big plays out of the backfield or as a receiver. The question that opponents must address is, how do you play Woodhead? Very difficult to double team him, and if you don't double team him, he'll burn you.
Meantime, defensively, we touched on some of the problems that they had at that end of the football, getting to the quarterback and stopping the run. It's still early in preseason, but getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks appears to be an area of improvement for this team. And this kid, Kyle Emanuel, the rookie linebacker, Dan, out of North Dakota State, has really turned some heads so far in the preseason.
Well, one hit he's turned is that of defensive coordinator John Pagano. He calls him a mature player who has good football instincts, understands how to play with leverage, and how to take on blocks. And when Pagano tells him something, Pagano doesn't have to repeat it. Emanuel gets it. Pagano isn't ready to talk about Emanuel's potential playing time, but he feels the rookie is on the right path to serious consideration for playing time.
Emanuel, one of 2 sacks last week in that victory over the Dallas Cowboys. We'll hear from Alex Flanagan in just a couple of minutes. Had a chance to catch up with Chargers head coach Mike McCoy as Keenan Allen and the rest of the Chargers get ready in Glendale. The kickoff is next on CBS. University of Phoenix Stadium, Glendale, Arizona, the site of preseason game number 2 for the San Diego Chargers. 17-7 victory last week. You saw the Cardinals onto the field, 11 wins last year. And San Diego looking to remain perfect. Moments ago, our Alex Flanagan visiting with Chargers head coach Mike McCoy.
So, Coach, week 2 of the preseason, what did you learn in week 1 that you can build on tonight in this game?
Well, that's the key, is we have to build on, eliminate some of the mistakes we made, the substitution errors, some penalties in all 3 phases. But I love the effort of the football team last week, the way the defense ran to the football, the way the offense was finishing things, but we're always looking to improve.
You know what your veterans can do. Who are you excited to see tonight? What young players, what units?
Well, really everybody, and it's not just 1 or 2 guys, but the starters will play for a couple series and we'll take them out, and a lot of the younger guys play, and we have a lot of competitive spots in the roster right now that we're trying to figure out of how we get to the 53, so let everyone get their fair shot.
You talked about the energy with which your team played with last week. What do you like the most so far about your team as we kind of evolve towards the season?
Well, we're starting to become a team, and that's the one thing you always wonder about each year when you draft guys, you have college free agents, you have the free agents that come in, and the dynamic of your team changes every year. We lost some great leaders last year, some great players that have played in San Diego for a long time, guys like Jared Johnson that came in for a couple of years. So when you lose those guys, it's new every year. So it's great to see the dynamics of the team we're starting to put that all together as we go.
Thanks, Coach. Have a good game tonight.
Thank you very much.
Dan and Spiro, back up to you guys.
All right, Alex, there's Phillip Rivers. You'll have the night off tonight. We had a chance to visit with Mike McCoy. This was the predetermined idea that he had way back during minicamp in terms of what night he would give Rivers off. And so Kellen Clemens, who's getting ready, Dan, for his 2nd year, is Rivers back up, will get to start and play most of the first half.
And then he'll give way to Brad Sorensen. So a good opportunity for both these guys to get some playing time. Rivers, of course, with that heavy wallet, probably will not be sitting on the bench tonight. Congratulations to him and to the Chargers in signing that long-term contract this week. Great to have Rivers sewed up for a long time.
4 years, $83 million, $65 million in guaranteed money. That is the most of any player in the NFL, and a huge sigh of relief for Chargers fans everywhere. There's Nick Novak on to boot it away. Britton Golden back deep to return, and we are underway from Glendale, Arizona. Chargers 1-0 after their 10-point win last week against the Cowboys, and the Cardinals beaten here at home by Kansas City last week in their opener, 34-19, a 24-yard return. And here comes Carson Palmer, who has rehabbed his way back from the ACL tear. You see, only quarterback in league history to throw for 4,000 yards, Dan, for 3 different teams.
Yeah, he missed 10 games last year because of that ACL injury. Second time in his career that he suffered that injury. But when he was playing, the Cardinals were 6-0.
Andre Ellington also rehabbing his way back from an injury. Is the lone running back. First down pass from Palmer. He is incomplete. Batted down right at the 25-yard line. Jimmy Wilson getting the start tonight in on the coverage for that San Diego secondary. Offensively for the Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald, who has seen his production dip in the 2+ years here under Bruce Arians, getting the start. And Ellington, what a return for him after he missed the last couple of games with the hip and another assortment of injuries. And what a loss he was towards the end of last season and into the playoffs. Palmer on 2nd and 10. They go pitch. Here is Ellington, so dangerous, into the flat. Crosses the 29, first down 1. As he's brought down after a pickup of 11. Jimmy Wilson on the tackle. Starters defensively for the San Diego Chargers, a team that has had issues stopping the run. Sean Lismore making his preseason debut. Sat last week with a minor hand injury. Ingram, Te'o, Butler, and Atauchu are the linebackers. Also Brandon Flowers, who sat last week, making his preseason debut. There is the defensive coordinator, John Pagano, already barking out instructions on that San Diego sideline.
Chargers are forced to call timeout.
Play clock was winding down, and so that will draw the ire of their head coach, Bruce Arians. There is Mike McCoy. Another look at so many of these players, 2nd and 3rd stringers trying to earn a roster spot. All Business had a chance to visit with him before this game. There is Pagano on the other side of the football. Some confusion, Dan, that forced them to burn a timeout.
Yeah,
they asking his coach.
Well, he called timeout. He brought in 2 extra defensive backs, and I think the Chargers may have had too many men on the field, and that's what caused Pagano to call the timeout. But in talking to John about what happened last week against Dallas, he said the big thing tonight is to finish, and to finish on the quarterback, obviously get him on the ground. And then on 3rd down plays, the Chargers against the Cowboys, not satisfactory in Pagano's eyes.
So 1st and 10 after the timeout by the Chargers. They mark it just past the 30 of Arizona. Palmer under center. They keep it on the ground. This is Ellington. Crosses the 30. A pickup of only a yard. Tackle made by Melvin Ingram. Young man who has had all kinds of talent the last couple of years, but has battled his way through injuries.
Well, here he is on the outside here, and he does a good job of staying home and playing his position here. Not chasing this ball. Watch as he eyes Ellington, plays off the block there, and drops him for a 1-yard gain.
There's Ingram. Last season, just 9 games played. Can he stay healthy? One of the big questions for this Chargers team defensively. 2nd and 9. Palmer airs it out. Miscommunication around the 40-yard line. Looks like the receiver was breaking inward. You experienced a couple of those in your career. Coverage on the play by Jaleel Adai.
Well, Palmer was 4 for 4 last week in the game against Kansas City. Missing on his first 2 today. Actually, the first pass was a good combination breakup by Jimmy Wilson and Eric Weddle. Wilson getting the start in competition with Jaleel Adai at that strong safety spot.
So Palmer of his first 2. This will be 3rd and 9 after that last incompletion from the 31. Chargers coming with the blitz. And they get to Palmer for their third sack of the preseason. It's Melvin Ingram leading the charge. 9-yard loss, and the Cardinals will punt.
Well, Ingram had 4 sacks last year in the regular season. Here he is right here, lining up on the left side of the defense, and he's going to go with a tremendous spin move. You think he might have learned that spin move from Dwight Freeney? That's improving from year to year and taking lessons from a great veteran like Freeney.
Only 6 career sacks for Ingram. Playing through all those injuries. This is Jacoby Jones. Multiple markers coming in behind the play. As Jones returns that 48-yard punt, get close to the 40. As we await the call here.
During the return, illegal block at the back, number 27 of the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So Mike McCoy, that look says it all. Barking at some of his players. Early going, first offensive series coming up for the Chargers as we continue next from Glendale. Chargers Pro Bowl safety Eric Weddle talking to some of the trainers over on the San Diego sideline. It appears as though they're looking at that neck area, Dan, and that may end his night. Just as a precaution, we'll try to get an update with Alex as quickly as we can. Kellen Clemens making the start. No Phillip Rivers tonight. Getting the night off from his head coach Mike McCoy. Play action from Clemens on 1st and 10. They fire far side, and it is caught. Keenan Allen with a first down catch. 13 yards as they quickly move the chains. So Kellen Clemens getting the nod tonight. Last season, just 2 games in relief of Rivers. Attempted all of 3 passes last season as he plays for his 3rd NFL team and his 2nd with the Chargers.
Yeah, 5 years with the Jets, 3 with the Rams, from Burns, Oregon. And if you've never been to Burns, Oregon, you haven't lived.
I knew you had to get that Oregon reference in.
Go Ducks.
Clemens under center. This is 1st and 10. Cardinals not fooled on that play. Danny Woodhead is buried in the backfield. They dump him for a loss of 1. Time now for tonight's Sleep Train starting lineups. Offensively for San Diego, the ones will go just as long as McCoy sees fit tonight. DJ Fluker starting to settle into that right guard position. Joe Barksdale, the free agent acquisition from St. Louis at that tackle spot. And there is Frank Reich, the offensive coordinator, side by side with Mike McCoy. Brandon Oliver onto the field on 2nd and 11. Play action from Clemens again, throws with pressure coming right on the throw. It's incomplete. And San Diego will be faced with a 3rd and long coming up. Defensively, Calais Campbell headlines that Cardinals front. First-time Pro Bowler last season. 7 sacks. And what was a monster season for him in 14 games played. Volume rises here. University of Phoenix Stadium on 3rd and 11 for San Diego. Clemens steps up in the pocket, finds his tight end. It's Gates. Close to the 40, still a couple of yards short of the first down. They pick up 8 through the air, but San Diego will punt.
Well, good pressure. Watch Woodhead come over here and make a good block here. That allows Clemens to step up. He finds his outlet receiver, but just too many yards for the future Hall of Famer Antonio Gates to pick up for the first down.
Gates, the 5-time Pro Bowler. Of course, will begin the season serving that 4-game suspension. Doesn't figure to play very long tonight. Here is Mike Cyphers on a punt for the first time tonight. A booming kick fielded inside the 10-yard line. Cardinals get it out to the 20 before a host of Chargers players get to him inside the 10. 57-yard punt from Cyphers. We are scoreless in Glendale. Key keys to the game presented by Land Rover Above and Beyond. Dan, what are we looking at tonight?
Well, third down conversions last week were good for the Chargers, 7 of 15. They were 2 for 2 in the red zone, and they also had no turnovers, so that's good situational football. And on defense, the word is finish. Finish on third downs and tackle better. Last week against the Cowboys, the Chargers allowed the Cowboys to convert on 3rd and 11 and on 3rd and 17 because of poor tackling.
Looks like Weddle is okay. Maybe a bit of a stinger as they looked at that neck area earlier. One thing Mike McCoy told us about last week when we visited with him before the game, the defense needs to get off the field with a little bit more efficiency after what he saw last week against Dallas. They come with the blitz from the outside, and no one saw Donald Butler. Full head of steam, and that is what every linebacker dreams of.
Well, check him out here. He kind of takes the circle route to get to Carson Palmer. So this is what Pagano's talking about, finishing at the quarterback, totally unblocked, totally unseen by the quarterback, Carson Palmer. And that's the type of play that Donald Butler is going to remember. His ability to get after the quarterback. You can see just 1 sack last year. Good start for him tonight.
Loss of 8 makes it a 2nd and 18. Palmer, all kinds of issues so far. He's going to air it out deep near side. He's got his man. It's caught. Monstrous pass play for Arizona as they move the chains. It's J.J. Nelson, the rookie out of UAB.
Yeah, he's all 5'10", 156 pounds, but he runs a 4.28 40, which was the fastest at the combine this year.
58 yards from Palmer, 1st and 10 inside Chargers territory.
And you can see him just running right by the Charger defensive back there on the play, Richard Crawford. Tremendous speed.
No Stevie Williams tonight, one of the backup corners behind Brandon Flowers. Palmer's pass on 1st and 10, intended for Nelson, is incomplete. It's the 2nd miscommunication between Palmer and his receivers tonight.
I almost think that my ball might have been deflected by Jimmy Wilson. Wilson was on the blitz from his slot position, and he got it at least in the throwing lane and forced Palmer to throw it wide to Nelson. He might have got a fingernail on that one.
Palmer had this Cardinals team off to a 9-1 start last year before he suffered that ACL tear, and just devastated this team initially. But boy, did they play through it, finishing at 11-6. 2nd and 10, pass complete over the middle. It's caught. John Brown inside the 20, and another Cardinals first down. They pick up 13.
It's amazing what a long bomb will do for an offense. Palmer, one of the best long ball throwers. Here he's going to have a very difficult crossing route here to Brown. He's got to put it right on him, and he puts it out in front of Brown, so Brown does not have to break stride, and he easily picks up a first down.
John Brown turned so many heads last season. What a rookie campaign he had. Out of Pitt, a former 3rd-round pick prior to last season. 1st and 10, they line up at the Chargers 17. Palmer has time, throwing end zone, caught. Cardinals touchdown. It's John Brown, 17-yard strike from Palmer.
Now Brown caught 5 touchdown passes last year in his rookie year, 48 total catches. But he's wide open in the back of the end zone as he gets behind Jimmy Wilson and in front of Crawford.
So after his first 2 incompletions, Palmer, Dan, marches him right down the field. And a chance for Arizona to tack on the extra point. Chandler Catanzaro on for the point after.
It wasn't that long ago that Palmer had that ACL injury. And in the olden days, ACL meant end of your career, basically.
Sure, especially at that age and that juncture of your career.
But,
remarkable.
The word is that he's in the best shape ever. How about this? Drop snap.
And of course, he's a live football.
Drew Butler, the holder, could not handle that snap from Mike Leach.
So 6-0 Arizona after the touchdown strike from Carson Palmer. Chargers linebackers coach Mike Nolan surrounded by his players. Most of the defensive starters, Dan, on the field for that long scoring drive for the Cardinals.
Well, really good protection for Palmer. Watch as he lofts this over the defense, puts it up high to John Brown, and at 5'10", either he catches it or it goes out of the back of the end zone.
There's John Pagano talking things over with Mike McCoy. It was the 57-yard strike from Palmer to J.J. Nelson, the rookie, that really opened up that drive. And then it was John Brown doing the rest. Off to extra point. Keeps the score at 6-0 Cardinals. Keenan Allen will not play it. And so was Jacoby Jones, I beg your pardon, who takes a knee, and so they will have it from the 20 to get their second offensive drive going. And this is valuable opportunity for a career backup, of course, Kellen Winslow, as Philip Rivers getting the night off. Valuable time that he just won't get once the season starts.
And if it was Kellen Winslow, you'd have a story there.
Kellen Clemens, I beg your pardon.
Yep, no, that's okay. I asked him if he was named after Kellen Winslow, and he said he didn't think so.
Talking
Great
about
name,
your
though.
old teammate before the game. But here's Clemens. Last season, as I mentioned, just 2 games played. And there is
Hey, Winslow's
Kellen
here.
Winslow fan here in the house.
LT, that number's going to be retired by the Chargers. Sunday night game this season. That's going to be a great moment for LT, obviously, and for all Charger fans. Clemens 2 of 3 so far for 21 yards.
1st and 10 Chargers from their own 20. Danny Woodhead running into his own teammate. It was King Dunlap. Not quite the butt fumble that we saw from the Jets a couple of years ago, but Woodhead going backwards.
Well, the challenge tonight is against this Cardinal run defense. Last year they gave up just 108 yards per game on the ground, and you can see the charge there by Campbell, and Woodhead goes backwards.
Well, the last thing you want to see is certainly a player of his caliber. First-time Pro Bowler last season was Calais Campbell, as the Cardinals trainers come onto the field. 6-0 Cardinals with just over 8 minutes to play in this opening quarter. The Chargers will open up the 2015 home schedule at the Q Sunday, September the 13th against the Lions. Tickets to that game and any other game on the home schedule is still available. 877 Chargers. It'll be white hot Sunday, and what an atmosphere they will have at Qualcomm Stadium. Brandon Oliver back onto the field on 2nd and 12. Looks like the football came loose, and it is recovered by the center. That's Chris Watt, the second-year man out of Notre Dame. And that center position was adventurous, to say the least, Dan, last season.
Yeah, it looked like Watt may have short-armed that, and it was backing up. That's the type of thing that happens when there's good pressure, as the Cardinals have exhibited so far against the Chargers' starting offensive line. 2 rushes for -3 yards. That will go down as a fumble by the quarterback, but in reality it was a short snap by Watt.
Clemens from the gun on 3rd and 16. And San Diego forced to burn its second timeout of this opening quarter. Well, this one certainly has the feel of a preseason game from San Diego's point of view, at least early, as Philip Rivers looks on.
Yeah, there's nothing like a bad play on first down, a fumble snap on second down, then having to burn your second timeout of the first half here in the first quarter. With 7 minutes to go, barely halfway through, just past halfway through the first quarter.
We asked Mike McCoy how long the starters and regulars would play tonight, and he said it would be a feel thing.
Well, I bet he's not feeling too good about them right now. He may make them play a little bit longer. Yep, that look there.
That tells you the story till this point. Clemens again from the shotgun. Danny Woodhead, the lone setback on 3rd and 16. Draw play. This is Woodhead to try to gain some more of that yardage back. Lowers his shoulder, gets across the 20, ahead of the 24-yard line, a pickup of 9. Tackle made by the safety Tony Jefferson, and San Diego will punt.
Woodhead does a good job of following his center, Chris Watt here. Of course, the Cardinals rushing just 4 guys. Watt gets out in front, lays the block, and Woodhead picks up a couple extra, but way too many yards for the first down conversion.
Cyphers had a tremendous kick on his first boot, 50-plus yards. This is J.J. Nelson. Late signal for the fair catch. There is a marker on the field. Near side of the field on Arizona's side. Our referee tonight is Walt Coleman. 44-yard punt from Cyphers.
And we have 8 officials working tonight's game, and Walt Coleman will tell us what this infraction is.
During the kick, holding number 21 of the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's the perennial All-Pro Patrick Peterson on the special teams, but the extra official is called the deep judge tonight. His name is Boris Cheek. He'll line up 20 yards behind the defense, and he will be looking for the play between the 2 guards and the center, but also checking out defensive pass interference and holding.
So you like that experiment? Maybe something that they could use full-time.
Well, I'm just afraid it'll be too much officiating, too many calls. I think we should go back to maybe just having 2 officials letting the players play. That'll never happen either. But it's more jobs, and I'm in favor of employment.
Sure.
And not that I'm running for office or anything.
Well, the San Diego defense back onto the field after allowing that long touchdown drive from Arizona on their last time on the field earlier in the quarter. There is Jaleel Adai battling for that strong safety position with Jimmy Wilson. That position battle, Dan, continues to heat up. Melvin Ingram a sack earlier.
And it's interesting, the competition is between Adai and Wilson, and because Weddle is out of the game with an apparent neck injury, that both Wilson and Adai are in the game right now.
David Johnson, the rookie running back out of Northern Iowa. Here's the lone setback. He takes the football from Palmer on 1st and 10. Picks up a couple close to the 25. We mentioned the battle between Adai and Wilson. Early returns were that Wilson was the front runner for the starting job. Then Adai started to perform. Of course, he has a leg up in terms of knowing the system, but they say that Wilson, Dan, has gotten very comfortable.
And look, you know, one guy, Adai, was not drafted at all, and Wilson taken in the 7th round. So they have fought their way to this competition.
That spot vacated, of course, by Marcus Gilchrist, who, of course, moved on to the Jets. 2nd and 8. Cardinals keep it on the ground. Johnson again bounces to the outside, and then he is met by a number of San Diego defenders, brought down at around the 27-yard line after a pickup of 2.
Defense does a good job of stringing Johnson out. Look at Emmanuel fight off that block and then almost get the tackle, but by forcing Johnson to the outside, you can see the posse comes. Fine play by Kyle Emmanuel.
What a performance Emmanuel had last week. 1 of 2 sacks for that Chargers defense. Total yards so far, all Cardinals, as they lead 6-0. 3rd and 5, Palmer from the gun. Throws over the middle. It is incomplete. Intended for John Brown. Adai making that late recovery. And the Chargers defense, Dan, able to get off the field.
Yeah, he threw it from the gun with the gun. This is a great throw by Palmer, and a ball that should have been caught. But the contact there, going low by Adai, forced the ball out of the hands of Brown.
Javante Herndon had a nice punt return last week. Signals fair catch. And that one takes a Cardinals bounce. Through the sideline, Kellen Clemens back onto the field. Chargers looking for their first points in Glendale. Chargers down, late stages first quarter, as we say hello to Alex Flanagan.
Hey, Sparrow, quarterback Phillip Rivers is not playing tonight, but he's intently watching every offensive series from the sidelines and then dissecting it with Kellen Clemens and Antonio Gates when they come off of the sidelines. You remember this offseason when there were some rumors about Phillip Rivers' future. He was talking about maybe going into coaching someday. He thinks he would like to do that, of course, with a number of children that might be playing football coming up. But, of course, that will have to wait. Sign the big deal. Rumor has it he was pretty happy around the building this week, you guys. Not only does he get the big payday, but he got a no-trade clause in that contract, which Tom Telesco, the Chargers general manager, told me tonight is good for both Phillip and the Chargers.
All right, Alex, thank you. Donald Brown making his preseason debut. Brown did not play last week. He picks up 6 there. There's Phillip Rivers, and what a moment for Tom Telesco and the entire organization, because more than anything else, Stan, they remove what was a huge distraction for this team. No one has to answer those questions anymore.
Well, they'll claim it wasn't a distraction, that they knew that they'd have Rivers anyway. They could franchise tag him, but the fact that they were willing to tie him up for what should be the rest of his career, and hopefully that rest of that career is in San Diego.
2nd and 4. Brown again dances across the 33-yard line. Well, here was Tom Telesco, the general manager, making his statement after the Rivers extension was announced. Of course, that Dan Fouts is able to start and finish his Hall of Fame career with the Chargers, and that was so huge for this organization. And he went on to say he represents the organization with class, character, and humility, everything that this franchise has sought from its franchise quarterback.
One of the best, no question about it.
Rivers always the big spender, celebrating with a Domino's pizza after he put pen to paper. Clemens from the gun. This is 3rd and 2. Quick slant over the middle. It's incomplete, right through the hands of Keenan Allen. And this Chargers offense struggling, to say the least, so far in this first quarter.
Well, it's just a slant route, and it's a ball that should have been caught. He gets inside the defensive back. Gerard Powers there, and ball just clangs right off his hands. Actually, that's Justin Bethel, a Pro Bowler, special teams player, but ball that should have been caught for a 3rd down conversion.
Well, they say that Allen has been the MVP of camp. Chargers breaking camp this week on Thursday. But so far, San Diego 0 for 3 on 3rd down. This is J.J. Nelson. What a quarters he's had so far. He eludes tacklers close to the 40, 18 on the return. There's Manti Te'o there for the tackle. 43 yards on the punt from Cyphers.
Just 5'10", 156 pounds. He was drafted in the 5th round out of UAB. And Palmer, you think he doesn't like this young man? He got the offense rolling with that bomb.
A lot of similarities in his game to their rookie from last year, John Brown. Here's Drew Stanton. So Carson Palmer's night ends early as expected. And here's Stanton, the young man who came on in relief of Palmer when he went down with the ACL tear last year. And then Stanton, of course, had his injury that ended his season prematurely. They go pitch play on 1st and 10. The penalty markers come in just after the ball was snapped, after the carry by David Johnson.
To the face, number 54, defense. 5-yard penalty assessed from the end of the run. 1st down.
That's Melvin Ingram on the penalty.
Well, here's Ingram, 54 here. And he gets that left hand right to the face, and it's on the perimeter. Actually, looks like he got his thumb hooked in the face mask and couldn't get it out. But because it's outside, easy look for the officials to see that as the ball carrier was coming in that direction.
One of the big questions defensively for this San Diego team, those linebackers, we mentioned the struggles that Donald Butler had last year, the injuries to Melvin Ingram, and of course Manti Te'o, who has had to deal with multiple injuries to his feet. Whistle blows that play dead before it started. There's Kyle Emanuel, the rookie out of North Dakota State. And Donald Butler hoping to bounce back from that subpar season a year ago. And what an addition, Dan, that man has been. Mike Nolan, of course, experience as a defensive coordinator around the NFL.
Former head coach of the 49ers as well. His dad, Dick Nolan, also head coach of the 49ers.
One of the most respected coaches in the NFL.
And you know where he went to school, don't you? The University of Oregon, pal. Come on. It's not Fordham.
I just wanted to hear you say it.
Oh, I will.
Go Ducks. Do we get to go Ducks?
You just did.
1st and 10. Johnson inside Chargers territory, going downhill close to the Chargers 40. And a nice start for Johnson. 13-yard run for the 3rd-round man out of Northern Iowa.
It's poor tackling by San Diego here as the Cardinals come with power. There's a missed tackle right there in the hole by Ricardo Matthews. And then 3 Chargers are having difficulty getting Johnson at 6'1", 224 pounds, getting him all the way down to the ground.
Johnson, the rookie running back, stays on the field. Long setback on 1st and 10. This is Drew Stanton under center. Fitzgerald in motion. 1st and 10. Johnson. There are now some gaping holes in that Chargers defense. And Dan, you talk to defenders in the NFL, and they talk about the challenges of going through the offseason and training camp where you barely put pads on. You don't get a chance to practice, refine your tackling technique. And sometimes it's hard to get ready for the regular season.
Well, especially when you're splitting so much time between the first team and then second and third team guys.
Sure.
So there's very few reps under fire with full pads on. And it shows up in preseason games and early in the regular season.
6 first downs for the Cardinals, just 1 so far for San Diego. That play deflected initially and nearly intercepted. It was Jaleel Adai on the initial coverage, and then Jimmy Wilson nearly had the pick.
A lot of fans looking for a penalty here. 37 is Adai, and he's got the receiver man-to-man. He'll come right over the top. That's a questionable call. That might have been pass interference. He's got his left arm on his shoulder, knocked the ball away with his right hand. He got away with it.
So 3rd and 4. Good quarter so far for Adai. Trying to gain the confidence of his coaches. Stanton from the gun. Quick release. It's caught. Now it's Andre Ellington, and then it's incomplete. Did not finish the process of the catch. Such a focal point of the rule book over the past couple of seasons in the NFL. As Arizona now 0 for 3 on 3rd downs. We'll see what they do here.
Well, they're probably going to go for it because they're probably too far for a field goal. That ball should have been caught by Ellington. 2 straight passes directed towards him as a running back lining up in the slot. Had 46 catches in the regular season last year. He missed that one. 4th down.
Bruce Arians going to roll the dice, and why not? It's the preseason. 4th and 4 from the 35. Stanton feels the pressure, completes to Fitzgerald for the 1st down pass play. 5 yards, and the Cardinals move the chains.
If I'm Bruce Arians, I can't let Fitzgerald out of the game right now after that hit. 12th year in the NFL, 909 catches in his career. Look at the patience here. The clear out there by the tight end takes Butler out of the way. And then Fitzgerald with a good catch from Stanton.
8-time Pro Bowler Fitzgerald, who certainly has the Hall of Fame credentials, but his production has dipped, to say the least, in the past 2+ seasons under Bruce Arians. Arizona burns a timeout, first for them, with under a minute to play in this first quarter. You see Fitzgerald's numbers, that incredible season going all the way back to 2008, 1,000-yard years in 10 and 11. And then that arrow has started to go the other way.
Well, part of that was Carson Palmer missing 10 games last year, Spiro. And then, in the playoffs, you think about the Cardinals, they were playing with a 3rd-team quarterback in Logan Thomas in the playoffs. But they had 11 wins last season. Stanton did a good job when he was in there, but he was injured as well late in the year. So this is a team to be looking for in the NFC West. They competed very well last season against the Seattle Seahawks, beat them in Seattle. Not many teams do that.
Well, they won't face Seattle for the first time until November, and then they'll play them again in the regular season finale And a year that figures to be very interesting in that NFC West. It was Jawan Edwards with his first touch of the night. And San Diego's defense fooled. 11-yard pass play from Stanton. 1st and 10, Arizona.
And Melvin Ingram's got to be careful at the end of this play. He takes him to the ground and well out of bounds. That could have been called personal foul against Ingram, something that he's been guilty of in his young career.
That was Stephen Taylor on the catch, the 30-year running back out of Stanford. And a young man who the Cardinals took with their 5th-round pick back in 2013 out of Stanford. 1st and 10. This is Johnson back into the fold. Look at him take on tacklers, and they are very high on this young man. Brandon Flowers on the tackle, 3-yard run, as that'll take us to the end of the first quarter. Chargers still looking for their first points. We are 15 minutes in, 6-0 Arizona on CBS. Well, there's Donald Butler walking off the field very gingerly a moment ago. You see him escorted off from one of the trainers, and here is where it happened.
Well, he's a little bit off balance as he tries to deliver the blow, but David Johnson was a little bit lower, and he caught him on the side of the helmet there. And let's hope that he's okay. He appears to be okay, just standing talking on the sidelines, but that was a vicious hit by David Johnson.
Butler's season last year ended, of course, on IR. That elbow injury sidelined him for the final 2 games, including that critical regular season finale in Kansas City that could have propelled the Chargers into the postseason. 2nd and 7 as we start the second quarter. 6-0 Arizona. Spiro Ditas, Stan Fouts, Alex Flanagan, rest of our CBS crew from Glendale, Arizona. Stanton in relief of Palmer, completes to John Brown. Lunges very close to that first down marker. They pick up about 11. And now late penalty marker comes in. All kinds of pushing and shoving, players barking at each other.
Yeah, Ted Larson getting very aggressive there. That may be against the Cardinal left guard. But how about the time to throw that Stanton had to find Brown on the crossing route?
Well, this game has been all Cardinals so far.
After the play was over, personal foul number 62, offense. The play resulted in a first down, so we'll go 15 yards. It'll still be 1st and 10.
Danny Wright, it's Ted Larson penalized.
Well, Larson is filling in for Mike Upati, who was injured and is out for 6 weeks. Bruce Arians not happy, feeling that it was a retaliatory hit there. Watch 62 here. He's going to launch right in, try to peel the Charger tacklers off the tackle, and I think he just snapped right there. Actually, here he comes in with a, real cheap shot. That's all you can call that. Takes the helmet right off the San Diego Charger.
Oh, it was Stuckey, the man at the bottom of that pile. Didn't appreciate it.
I'm sure the league will review that, and they may get into the wallet of Ted Larson.
1st and 10. Stanton stumbled backwards just for a moment. Completes to the rookie running back David Johnson. 6-yard pass play. And Cavell Connor looks frustrated as some of the backups come in defensively for the Chargers.
You just don't see many quarterbacks backpedal these days. But that's what Stanton did there, and he got the ball out of his hand quickly.
Stat sheet heavily favoring Arizona to this point. Look at the pass yardage. 8 first downs for Arizona, just 1 for the Chargers in that first quarter. Palmer left the game after a couple of possessions. Pitch play on 2nd and 4. This is Johnson cutting inside the 15-yard line, about a yard short of that first down marker. 4-yard run. Michael Zubnar on the tackle for the Chargers.
Okay, watch number 11 here, Larry Fitzgerald, 8-time Pro Bowler, and he seals the edge on Jimmy Wilson, and that allows Johnson to pick up a couple of yards, but pretty good play there by the all-pro wide receiver.
Fitzgerald, the first down catch just a moment ago, getting ready for his 12th season in the NFL. 3rd and 1 from inside the 14. Cardinals keep it on the ground. This is Ellington. And it appears to be close to the first down. It was Mitch Unrein on the tackle for San Diego, and a first down for Arizona.
Unrein did a great job of getting low and really exploding, beat the block, and got to the tackle, but Cardinals had just enough to pick up the first down. 3rd time they've been in the red zone tonight.
Unrein, the 50-year man out of Wyoming, undrafted rookie with Houston, who broke into the NFL back in 2010. Jimmy Wilson staring down Stanton. Here comes Ingram, nearly untouched, flying around the corner for his 2nd sack of this first half.
Tremendous anticipation of the snap count by Ingram as he blew by Jared Valdir. Watch this, before Valdir can even get out of his stance, Ingram just beats the snap count, beats the tackle, and beats the quarterback.
Danny looked like LT coming around the corner.
Oh boy.
Shot out of a cannon. What a first half for Melvin Ingram, licking his chops. 2nd and 16 after the 6-yard loss. Johnson breaks a couple of tackles, and boy, how impressive has he looked in this first half. They're hoping that he'll provide that 1-2 punch with Ellington. 9-yard run for the rookie.
Yeah, and he slipped out of the tackle of Kyle Emanuel in the backfield and picked up valuable yardage here in the red zone. But it looked like Emanuel may have had him for a loss. One rookie against the other. Watch Emanuel, 51 here. Great stiff arm right there, forces Emanuel to the ground. Another stiff arm breaks the tackle. This guy's got some skills. David Johnson.
3rd round pick out of Northern Iowa. And the 23-year-old making his presence felt in his first half. 3rd and 7, end zone pass from Stanton is incomplete. Intended for the tight end Darren Fells. Greg Mager, the backup cornerback, on the great coverage defensively.
Well, this is a heck of a play by Mager. Ball's in the air a long time here, but watch as he undercuts that ball and swats it away from the receiver.
There is Mager coming off the field, a rookie 3rd round pick out of Texas State. So the field goal unit on. It's Chandler Cantanzaro on to attempt a 28-yard field goal to tack on 3 for Arizona. 9-0 Cardinals. Early stages, 2nd quarter in Glendale. A 28-yard field goal as Arizona builds on their lead up 9-0 with just under 11 minutes to play before halftime. Chargers defensive coordinator John Pagano over on that sideline. Another long drive, Dan, for the Cardinals. They go 16 plays to cover 50 yards.
Arizona with 148 yards here in the first half. San Diego with just 35.
Chandler Catanzaro will kick it away. And Javante Herndon, a lot of Chargers fans in Arizona. Temperatures were still in the triple digits right at kickoff tonight. 7 o'clock local time.
106. It's about 76 in here. I like this.
Herndon thought about it and will take a knee. Chargers will have it from the 20, still looking for their first points as Kellen Clemens comes back onto the field. That young fella staying up a little bit past his bedtime tonight on a Saturday night here in Glendale, Arizona. 9-0 Cardinals in front. Didn't see his hero Phillip Rivers, but he's supporting him with that t-shirt here. Rivers getting the night off, and so far the offense has taken his first half off.
Yeah, no kidding.
Still looking for their first points. There's Rivers. He's a spectator. Kellen Clemens. He's getting ready for his second season as Rivers back up. under center on 1st and 10. This is Donald Brown. First preseason paces for Brown. Did not play last week with a minor hip injury. Picks up 3 yards. Chris Hairston, the backup tackle and fourth-year man out of Clemson, is coming. Hairston, Dan, not listed as a starter, but they're expecting him to play a role in the regular season.
Well, they want to give King Dunlap a rest tonight and see what Hairston can do. But not just at left tackle, but also they want to see him play right tackle. If he can be the swing guy, very valuable to be able to play 2 positions as a backup.
Former 4th-round pick of Buffalo. 16 games played last season for the Bills. That's the second drop from Keenan Allen in his first half. And Allen, who's had such a good camp in preseason, has struggled so far in this game.
You know, that was not a great pass, but I mean, we've seen Keenan Allen make incredible catches. You can see him pat himself on the chest, telling everybody in the huddle that was my fault, and as if he had to do that. That ball should have been caught, obviously.
Allen so stellar as a rookie 2 years ago. Last year started slow but finished so well. Lines up at the top of your picture on 3rd and 8. Clemens from the shotgun. And that's a strike. First down pass play out past the 30. It's caught 8 yards through the air. Ladarius Green, who played very sparingly in the opener last week, they moved the chains 1st and 10.
And the pass protection by the offensive line was just awesome that time. The Cardinals came with a blitz. Clemens got back quickly, found the single coverage on Green, and delivered a perfect ball.
Brandon Oliver, the lone setback. Only the second first down for San Diego in this first half. Oliver barely gets back to the line of scrimmage.
And should be the Chargers' power side of their offensive line, with DJ Fluker playing right guard and Joe Barksdale at right tackle. 339 pounds, 326 pounds. They expect a lot of push out of those 2 guys, and that time absolutely nothing for Brandon Oliver.
Oliver stays on the field. Clemens from the gun again. On 2nd and 10, just out past the 30. Oliver takes the draw from Clemens. Cardinals not fooled defensively. Melvin Gordon, their first-round pick, getting the night off. Let's get more on him now from Alex.
Yeah, Sparrow, Melvin Gordon nursing an ankle injury, not playing tonight, as you just said. The reviews of Melvin Gordon coming off of the first game against the Dallas Cowboys weren't exactly stellar. Some people thought they might see a little bit more out of him in that game, but Mike McCoy had a bit of a different take, telling us, you guys, that he thought his running back ran very hard in that game and was pleased that it was his decision that he sit him tonight.
3rd and 14. Clemens, as that play whistled dead, multiple flags coming in. It looked like Hairston was moving, and the Chargers going the wrong way.
And it's hard to hide when you're 6'6", 330 pounds, and out all by yourself at left tackle there. But Hairston about 2 counts early, and that cost the Chargers another 5, and it brings up a 3rd down, and what's that, 20 yards, 22 yards to go?
They'll call it 3rd and 19 as they mark the football just out past the 22-yard line. Clemens over the middle, it's caught. Allen this time makes the catch and making guys miss. Crosses the 30, close to the 35-yard line. 12 yards on the hookup as that clock continues to run inside of 8 minutes. And once again, San Diego forced to punt.
You can see the Cardinals just playing zone at that with that type of distance for the Chargers to gain for the first down. Tough situation for Allen to try to make 11 Cardinals miss.
Allen's talked about the weight that he's lost last year. Played at around 210 to 212 pounds. He's down to about 204, 206. Says that he has benefited from that through training camp and early part of the preseason. Cypher's on to punt from his own 25-yard line. Britton Golden will field from just inside the 30. And excellent coverage by San Diego's punt team after the 41-yard punt from Cyphers, and it looks like Cyphers might be hurt. Well, there is Chargers punter Mike Cyphers being looked at by the training staff over on the sideline. Here's what happened.
That appears he pulls a groin muscle. Watch his left arm go right to that muscle here, the left hand, and that's a horrible sign. Remember, he missed some time last year with a broken collarbone, and now I'm sure his evening is over.
Let's get more from Alex.
Yeah, you guys, he looks like he's wincing in a fair amount of pain as he kind of holds on to the groin. I think one of the curses that he has is he has that violent kick that gets a lot of speed and height to it, but it can create kind of some of those groin problems as you witnessed there. It's limping, and we'll keep an eye on it.
So Cyphers, the former 5th-round pick of San Diego back in 2003, and obviously an area of concern right now for that Chargers sideline. David Johnson, a rookie running back who has had a busy first half, picks up a nice little run on first down.
And the Charger offense has really sputtered throughout this first half. And we talked about situational football. Well, third down conversions last week against the Cowboys, they were 7 of 15. Tonight, just 1 out of 5. They've run the ball 8 times for 11 yards. Nothing working offensively for San Diego.
2nd and 6. Play action from Stanton is intercepted. It's Cavell Connor on the pick. San Diego's offense unable to perform, and so the defense making their statement. And finally a short field for the Chargers offense to work with. What a pick by Connor.
Connor, an inside linebacker here. Watch as he reads the eyes of the quarterback, drops back. What an athletic move that is to change direction, get up high in the air. Ball intended for Troy Nicholas. Connor, who has 0 interceptions in his career in the regular season, showing that he could play a little tight end with moves like that.
29 yards on the return. Connor, one of the bright spots in the linebacking corps last year with all the injuries that they had to deal with. Former 7th-round pick of the Colts. And gives the San Diego offense a 1st and 10 from the Cardinals' 12. Brandon Oliver lines up back of the backfield, takes the handoff inside the 5, lunges end zone. No signal yet, appears to be short. What a burst by Oliver.
But that'll be a first down.
1st and goal.
Right on the doorstep of the goal line. Watch the blocking here. David Johnson, 88 here, is going to kick out right there. That allows Oliver to get inside. You can see where he stepped out of bounds. But a good stiff arm by Oliver. Great block by David Johnson.
Well, Frank Reich told us before that preseason opener, one difference in Oliver's game, he's learned to be patient, waiting for his blockers to set up. What a run by Oliver. 2nd and 1, they call it. Oliver finding the outside into the end zone for the Chargers touchdown. So Connor's pick sets the table. Oliver does the rest. San Diego finally on the board.
And you know they got to feel good about it, doing it on the ground. One run to the right by Oliver, gets it down inside the 5. And this play here is just pure speed by Oliver. Again, Johnson out in front, seals the linebacker to the inside, and Oliver just outruns the Cardinals for the corner of the end zone.
That drive takes all of 36 seconds. Danny Woodhead giving his good buddy a tap on the head.
And Cyphers is the holder here.
Very good sign for the Chargers. Nick Novak on for the 33-yard point. After it hits the uprights, and it is no good.
Wow. Well, that's moving the ball back to the 33-yard line for the extra point. First one we've seen missed this year.
Second botched extra point of this first half. Cardinals had one earlier. Oliver with the touchdown run to put San Diego within 3. quickly things have turned here. The Cavell Connor interception, 29-yard return. Set the Chargers up with a 1st and 10 inside the Cardinals 15. And then it was Brandon Oliver doing the rest. 9-6 as Arizona's lead is cut to 3. Booming kick by the rookie Josh Lambo, who's come in for the first time tonight. As we get you now our drive of the game presented by your San Diego County Ford dealers. Ford is built for San Diego.
A tremendous reaction by Cavell Connor. Seeing the play action fake, dropping into his zone, reading the quarterback's eyes, and then getting up and making the catch. And then the job on that left side of the offensive line. Give Chris Hairston a credit there, along with David Johnson. And second touchdown of the preseason for Brandon Oliver. Leading rusher for the Chargers last season, had 3 scores in the regular season. So after the touchdown, he gets to run down under the kickoff.
Getting his money's worth in this first half. 1st and 10. Drew Stanton coming out in relief of Carson Palmer, who left the game after a brief stint. If you've just joined us, late in the first quarter, 3-yard pass play. It's caught by Jaron Brown, the backup wide receiver, as that clock continues to run now inside of 6 minutes to play in this first half. There's Carson Palmer. How impressed, Dan, have you been with what Carson has done? Obviously, the injury aside, his renaissance over the past couple of years.
Yeah, you know, I thought that he would do well in Oakland, but there was such a disorganized outfit up there. But coming to the Cardinals with the weapons they have, I expect him to have a big year. Throws the deep ball as well as anybody in the NFL. That really jump-started the Cardinal offense as they struggled in their first couple of possessions.
Another first down run from David Johnson as Palmer looks on with John Brown, who had such an eye-popping rookie season last year. Cardinals 11-6 last year, most wins for them since 1975 when they were still St. Louis. And the high expectations certainly around this franchise here in Glendale. 1st and 10. Arizona has done the bulk of their damage on the ground in this first half. And it has come from that man, David Johnson, who's unrivaled among the tacklers.
Now, Bruce Arians has done just a tremendous job here, but he's done a good job just about everywhere he's been as an assistant coach. He filled in for Chuck Pagano, John Pagano's brother, when Chuck was battling cancer in 2012. All Arians did was get named the NFL Coach of the Year, as he was last year as head coach of the Cardinals.
He's led Arizona to the postseason each of the last 2 years. 2nd and 8, Stanton sacked again. Melvin Ingram got 2 earlier, and this time it's Zubnar getting there for San Diego. 10 yards on the loss, and suddenly San Diego's defense starting to pick up some steam.
Well, as a quarterback, you can't hesitate on a quick pass. So you can see nobody there to block Zubnar. David Johnson looking around. I think it might have been his man, but Stanton's got to get rid of that ball on a 3-step drop. Linemen are not holding their blocks. They're just basically cut blocking. And that time, nobody picked up the blitzing linebacker. A lot of blitzes have worked well tonight for the Chargers defensively.
4th sack for the Chargers. That time the rookie out of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. 3rd and 16. That pass is no signal yet. It is caught. Magical play by Jaron Brown for his 2nd catch of the quarter. 29 yards for the Cardinals' first down.
That was between a couple of Chargers there as the ball was up for grabs. Stanton ought to be giving Brown a high five here, because this is a crowd of 3 Chargers. When Jaron Brown comes down with it, Crawford can't make the play, nor can Stuckey.
Jaron Brown with a magic trick on that play. Went right in front of Richard Crawford for the catch. 1st and 10. Stanton's going to take another shot. Trying to find Brown in the end zone. It's incomplete. At that time, San Diego was there with the coverage. It was Mager again, the rookie out of Texas State.
That's a couple of good plays by Mager. He broke up the pass in the end zone earlier here in the second quarter. And that time, stride for stride with Brown. And Stanton had to let that ball go deep, or it might have been picked off.
This will be 2nd and 10. Just inside the Chargers 45. Johnson on the draw play, able to cut back. And how impressive has he looked in this first half? That run for 3 as we're inside of 3 minutes.
Well, you know, there's another Johnson I'm anxious to see tonight.
That's right.
Newly signed Chris Johnson, or CJ2K, or is it CK2J? I'm not sure what it is anymore.
Whatever you like.
Well, he had 2,006 yards back in 09. Poor year last year with the New York Jets, and was released, and the Cardinals just picking him up. Should see some action in the second half of tonight's game. We'll see just what he has left, as he has just turned 30 years old.
Chris Johnson signing that contract earlier this week on Tuesday, garnering a lot of excitement here in Arizona. Cardinals have burned their second timeout. We'll see what Bruce Arians draws up here on a 3rd and 6 play coming up, with Arizona in front 9-6. Dan, what have you seen so far in this first half? San Diego, obviously all kinds of issues offensively in the first quarter, but that interception from Cavell Connor really kind of turned the momentum as Eric Weddle and Joe Barksdale look on.
Yeah, I think it's been feast or famine for the defense. Great start to the game, a couple of sacks early on Palmer, but then he unloaded that bomb that kind of got everybody excited and moved the ball down the field and got a touchdown. But, you know, the play by Connor, that's the type of play the Chargers need, that turnover. They had 2 last week against Dallas and 1 here in the first half, and they have not yet to turn the ball over. I hope I don't jinx them by saying that.
2 sacks from Melvin Ingram earlier. This is 3rd and 6. Pass is caught. That is Johnson again, the rookie out of Northern Iowa. 9 yards and another Arizona first down.
Well, that time the rookie from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo came on the blitz, Nick Zubnar, and nobody picked up the back out of the backfield. Chargers really bringing the heat tonight as we get to the 2-minute warning.
That is the 2-minute warning.
Chargers down 9-6. 2-minute warning. First half here on CBS. Arizona, first preseason road contest for the Chargers after their 10-point home victory over Dallas at Qualcomm Stadium last weekend. That's a Dan Fouts jersey.
Oh, I thought I was leaving there. I'll be back. Give me a cold one.
Final 2 minutes. 1st and 10. David Johnson. More fans in the NFL. He keeps this up. We're going to get to know him very quickly.
Yeah, he may keep Chris Johnson on the sidelines. We've seen power, we've seen moves, we've seen a good stiff arm out of David Johnson so far in the first half. That's 21 plays now that the Cardinals have run in the Chargers side of the field. Chargers have only run 2 plays after the Cavell Connor in the Cardinal end of the field.
There's Connor, 29-yard interception return to set up that first score. This is 2nd and 4, standing out of the shotgun, under pressure, going backwards again. 5th sack for San Diego. Darius Feinlein leading the charge. One of their very heralded rookies, the young man out of Arkansas. 9-yard loss.
Well, watch. We'll show you the replay in a minute as the Cardinals come to the line of scrimmage. Now they're backing up. So let's take a look at the replay. Watch 93, how he finishes this tackle. Right to the wallet on Drew Stanton. Good, clean hit, powerful hit. Almost caused a fumble.
What a week it's been for Feinlein. His wife giving birth to a baby boy this week and getting his sack. And San Diego keeps on coming. Jerry Atauchu around the corner. 6 sacks for the Chargers in this first half.
Now that was a real point of emphasis for defensive coordinator John Pagano. Finish at the quarterback, and they have done that and more. A good speed rush there, power combination. DJ Humphries just no contest for Jerry Atauchu.
Atauchu getting ready to be a full-time starter for the first time in his career. Could this team generate a pass rush, Dan? That was one of the big storylines defensively for this team. Just 26 sacks all of last season.
Yeah, and that was good for 29th in the league. So we've already seen the speed rushers, Ingram and Atachu, from the outside getting to the quarterback. And if Phylon can provide the inside pass rush, boy, you've got something there.
Atachu tutored, of course, by Jared Johnson, who was, of course, retired, and Dwight Freeney, who was not retained during the offseason. Javante Herndon will watch this take a San Diego bounce into the end zone. 39-yard punt from Drew Butler. And the Chargers will have it from the 20 with under a minute to play. 9-6, Arizona in front.
Now we'll see how well the Charger offense can work the hurry-up offense. Remember, they burned 2 timeouts here in the first half. So they just have one to work with just under a minute and 80 yards to go for the score.
No Phillip Rivers tonight. Mike McCoy giving his franchise quarterback the night off. Just a couple of days after he signed his monster contract extension in San Diego earlier this week. It's been Kellen Clemens in his first half. He'll work from the gun on 1st and 10 from the 20. Clemens throwing far side. It's caught. Keenan, I beg your pardon, it's Dontrell Inman on his first catch. 13 yards and a first down.
Yeah, great arm strength by Clemens. Watch as when Inman turns around, the ball already is in the air. Just perfect timing there. That's a great way to start your hurry-up offense. Get yardage and out of bounds.
Clemens airs it out, trying to locate Inman, who kind of cut towards the middle at the end of that route. It's incomplete. And it will be 2nd and 10 coming up.
That's worth a shot, though. What it does is it puts in the minds of the defensive backs they got to loosen up a little bit. And you'll see maybe Clemens will throw a shorter route there. It's Orlando Franklin going to the sideline with a bit of a limp.
Chargers have 1 timeout left. This is 2nd and 10. Underneath throw. It's Inman again. His 2nd catch of this drive. Spins his way to a Chargers first down. They pick up a dozen. Carriel Brooks on the tackle. Clemens quickly gets him to the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10 from the gun. He completes to the tight end. That's John Phillips, the 7th-year man out of Virginia, out of bounds, and they'll stop the clock with 25 seconds left.
And get a chance to catch your breath here. And good rhythm now by Clemens and this offense. Getting back quickly, getting the ball out of his hand quickly. And they're getting close to field goal range now for Nick Novak.
Mike McCoy looking on. 2nd and 6. From right at midfield, Clemens. Quick drop. Fade pass far side intended for Inman as they continue to go to work on Brooks, the rookie out of Adams State. Undrafted. Down to 20 seconds.
And the Cardinals decided they were going to put pressure on Clemens. That time they came with a blitz man-to-man on the outside. And you got to give Carriel Brooks a lot of credit for staying with Inman.
Chargers have that 1 timeout left. 3rd and 6. Donald Brown onto the field. Phillips in motion. 3rd and 6. Clemens hit from every direction. That ball sputters out of his hands as Clemens was crunched.
Yeah,
Lamar Woodley coming for Arizona.
How about Lamar Woodley, the ageless one, coming around the backside there. Woodley in his 9th year here, played with the Raiders last year, and that was a crunch.
Woodley disappointed in Oakland last year before his season ended in injury. San Diego 1 of 6 on 3rd down. They'll go for it here. 4th and 6. Clemens far side. It's caught. That's the backup tight end. Nice play. It's Austin Pettis, I beg your pardon, the backup wide receiver, 10 yards. And San Diego, Dan, able to move the chains. 9 seconds left.
Yeah, they've got to get about another 5 to 10 yards and then call timeout quickly.
Clemens on 1st and 10. Quick drop. Finds Herndon near side. Herndon gets out of bounds. 4 seconds left.
A smart play by Herndon. Just get to the sideline. Get out of bounds. Don't try to get into the end zone or you might burn up the entire clock.
And now the rookie Josh Lambo will come onto the field. Lambo brought in because of that leg of his. A team that struggled to get touchbacks last year. Now they'll give him a shot as he'll attempt a 53-yarder with 4 seconds remaining. Lambo on target, and it is good. Well, we asked Mike McCoy about Lambo before the game, and he said we like him on kickoffs, don't know enough about him on field goals. Looked pretty good on that play.
Now that's under real fire, too. I mean, to be able to convert at a very critical time at the end of the first half to tie the score, big kick for Lambo.
Let's go downstairs to Alex.
Well, Coach, let's talk offense first. It seemed like a bit of a sloppy first half. How do you characterize it?
Yeah, the first 4 series were poor. Every other play was a minus play, whether it's a minus run, a fumble, quarterback exchange. We got to eliminate those. We played in 3rd and long forever, the 3 3rd and longs there, so we got to eliminate that. We got to find a way to run it better like we did. We scored the one time, and then a good 2-minute drive at the end.
Some bright spots on defense, certainly. It seems like you're finishing well.
They did a nice job getting after the quarterback. That's the one thing we said from last week. We got to finish with sacks and don't let them get out of there, so they've done a nice job with that.
All right, we'll let you get to the locker room. Thank you.
6 sacks for San Diego in that first half. And they cap it off with a 53-yard field goal from the rookie Josh Lambo, tied at 9 as we reach halftime here in Glendale, Arizona. Start of the second half here at University of Phoenix Stadium. Spiro Adidas, Hall of Famer Dan Fouts, Alex Flanagan, rest of our crew, Jason Bott, our producer, Tom Sutersky is our director. Glendale, Arizona, first road preseason game for the Chargers. A team that finished 4-4 last year as a road team. Pretty good for most teams in the NFL. Chargers weren't happy with it. So they continue to take their preseason paces. The kick fielded by Herndon in the back of the end zone. And that's where the Chargers will take over. Second quarterback of the night for the Chargers is Brad Sorensen, the second-year man out of Southern Utah. Got our first look at him, Dan, of this preseason last week. What did you see?
Well, offensive coordinator Frank Reich says that he's a quiet guy. I mean, he's not a real vocal leader, but he has gained the confidence of the offense. And he possesses a very strong arm. Frank says that Sorensen can air it out 70 yards, and apparently a problem with the headset there is had to signal the play into Sorensen instead of giving it through the headset.
Well, not the way Sorensen wanted to begin his night. 1st and 10 from the 20. This is Dreamus Smith, the rookie running back out of West Virginia. Undrafted, 22 years of age, and he is met by a wall of Arizona defenders led by Darren Woodard, the cornerback. One thing that Wright talked about, his arm strength. We touched on it last week, Dan. You talked about him trying to work on the touch and the anticipation on his throws.
Yeah, he'd like to be able to work on getting the call from the sideline right now.
Sure.
So 2 plays in a row, the communication not working.
2nd and 14 after Smith was dumped for a loss. Sorensen hit on the throw as that one just sputters out, intended for John Phillips, the tight end. And not exactly the start Sorensen was looking for.
Yeah, Kenny Devins takes a pretty good lick. Second-year player from Michigan gets in on Sorensen and caused that ball to come out end over end.
Phillip Rivers, the night off, if you've just joined us. Kellen Clemens went in the first half. And with Clemens at the helm, San Diego just 1 of 6 on 3rd downs over the first 30 minutes. Third and 14. Sorensen's pass sails high. It's intercepted. Intended for Phillips. And San Diego turns it over for the first time. There is a penalty marker on the field. The pick from Harold Jones-Cordy. And now we'll await the call from Walt Coleman.
Illegal formation. Penalties decline. First down, Arizona.
So first turnover of the preseason for the Chargers. And Sorensen had a lot of time to throw, but waited for Phillips right here to get deep down the field. And just clearly an overthrow. Had to get it over the linebacker's head there. And that's just too much for Phillips. He goes 6'5". Jones Quarte with the pick.
You certainly don't want to make excuses for any player, but all kinds of issues that Sorensen had to contend with on that drive. So 1st and 10. New quarterback for Arizona is Logan Thomas, the second-year man out of Virginia Tech. This is Carwin Williams on his first carry of the night. Williams, the second-year runner out of Utah State. And there is Logan Thomas. Jury's still out, Dan, on whether this kid is a project or a potential NFL starter.
He's a big one, too. 6'6", 250. Really a fine athlete. Has had 4 rushes last week for 18 yards and 1 15-yard run. So he's a dual threat in the quarterback position.
Carson Palmer began the night for the Cardinals, ended briefly after a quick stint. Thomas going to air it out on 2nd and 6. Incomplete. Boy, he had his man wide open. It falls incomplete. Moma, the intended target.
Ifeani Moma gets wide open behind the secondary, Cavell Connor. And just a juggling attempt there, ball thrown behind him. Or that would have been a walk-in touchdown for Arizona.
So the Chargers defense dodges a bullet on that play. And that makes it 3rd and 6 from inside the San Diego 25. Delayed handoff from Thomas. First down, 1 and more. Carwin Williams on his second take. 1st and 10 after a run of 10 for Williams.
Yeah, it's a draw play for Williams, and the Chargers, you can see their linebackers playing zone here, and then they get picked off. Good block up front there for the Cardinals, number 65. That's John Jalapio.
Cardinals now 4 of 9 on 3rd down in this game. Jerron Brown in motion. 1st and 10. And San Diego stout with their run defense on that play. Well, if you're a Chargers fan, Dan, watching this game in the first half, have to be pleased with what you saw with the starters. The 2 sacks for Melvin Ingram. Jerry Atauchu got 1 late. And that was the question. Even Donald Butler, I beg your pardon, with a sack after his disappointing season.
Yeah, 4 different linebackers have sacks. You talked about Ingram's 2, and the rookie Phelan with the 6th sack for San Diego. So that's an impressive number. 6 sacks in 1 half.
2nd and 10. Once again, Brown comes in motion. Williams met. 3 tacklers on the play for San Diego, led by Phelan.
I tell you, Phelan is a force in the middle there. I mean, watch number 93 here get inside and make the tackle at the line of scrimmage. Again, DJ Humphries having all kinds of problems. First pass protecting, and now trying to clear Phelan out of the way. I like the way Phelan finished that tackle, too. The running back went backwards.
Phelan, the rookie, 6th round pick out of Arkansas. He's only 21 years of age. And that play sets up a 3rd and 10. Thomas, draw play, handoff taken by Williams. And once again, that front pushing him backwards. Loss of 5.
Zubnar's been in on a couple of plays, the former Mustang. Here he is, number 48. It's another draw play, kind of a sprint draw. And good quickness by Zubnar to get in the backfield there and beat the block of Anthony Steen.
Well, he's undersized, and you look at him, 6'1", 240. But he's got a nose for the football. 38-yard field goal attempt, and this one is no good. So Catanzaro had a long one early. That time misses. Still tied at 9 early stages, third quarter. All tied at 9 with 10:29 to play in quarter number 3. Time now for tonight's lightning fast facts, brought to you by Cox Communications, your friend in the digital age. Malcolm Floyd has an older brother, Malcolm, who played wide receiver in the NFL in the 1990s. Malcolm was given his name at birth by his older brother.
Yeah, but no confusion there. He dropped one of the L's.
Brad Sorensen, after throwing the pick earlier, completes over the middle. That's the tight end. Kyle Miller, who's got an outside chance to make this team, battling against the other rookie tight end, Brian Parker.
Malcolm saying this is his last season. Hate to see that happen. Just 10 years in the league, and what a tremendous deep threat he has been for the Chargers and Phillip Rivers. 291 career catches, 31 career touchdowns. Great ratio.
Pass intended for Miller again. Floyd, even at his age last year, put up some incredible numbers. 5th in the NFL in yards per catch, 16.5. And he will enter the season just 11 yards away from 5,000 for his career.
And you hear this about receivers being long, means they're tall, they got long arms. Well, he has all of that, and he has huge hands. And very good huge hands. And holding the ball on the sideline, staying involved.
Well, pretty good for a guy who came into the NFL undrafted out of Wyoming. This is Dreamus Smith. Speaking of undrafted, trying to break into the league out of West Virginia. 22-year-old free agent rookie, runs for 8, tackled by Chris Clemens.
That was a real good run by Dreamus Smith because he showed quickness in the hole and a move, and then he finished the run by punishing the tackler.
We've just been told from the San Diego sideline, Dontrell Inman has a concussion and will not return. Third and 2. Sorensen, quick drop, first down, pass play. They go 5 yards through the air. They move the chains to Pettis.
It really pays to have a strong arm. Watch as Sorensen squeezes that ball in front of the defensive backs there. That's Darren Woodard, who just an instant late to knock that ball away because of the speed that Sorensen got it out to Pettis.
Pettis, the former third-round pick of the Rams. Last 4 years in St. Louis, just over 1,000 yards total with his second catch of this game. End around play, it's Herndon. Crosses the 40, lowers his shoulder, close to another San Diego first down. Javante Herndon out of Arkansas, who's had a solid camp so far.
Well, Herndon's in motion, and now he'll come back and get the soft pitch from Sorensen. Razzle-dazzle in the preseason, why not? Take advantage of the speed that Herndon has. You see him as a punt returner last week, getting a shot at wide receiver this week.
Herndon had that long punt return last week. Chargers keep it on the ground on first down. Sorensen, you like to see him recover after that interception, Dan, that he threw. Had the issues with the technology in his helmet, couldn't get the play calls in cleanly. Starting to settle in.
Well, you can tell he just looks a lot more comfortable now. He's gotten a couple of good throws and one pass dropped on this drive, but he's got the Chargers in Cardinal territory.
On in relief of Kellen Clemens, who got the start for Phillip Rivers, who had the night off. 2nd and 9. Sorensen steps up in the pocket, and there's that bullet arm. Completes inside the 30. It's Tyrell Williams, the rookie out of Western Oregon. 8 yards for his first catch.
Coaches are excited about Tyrell Williams. He said that he's another one of those guys that's long at 6'4", but he can really fly. They're anxious to get him some playing time here in the preseason.
A guy who's quickly adjusted to press coverage, something he rarely saw at Western Oregon. Nice play on that 8-yard reception. First down run and another first down. That is Smith able to get to the outside.
The other thing I liked about that last pass play, Sparrow, is it looked like Sorensen, as he stepped up in the pocket, it opened up and he could run for it. But he He kept his focus down the field. He knew he had the receiver, Williams, man-to-man, and just threw him a perfect ball, nice and low, where the defensive back had to go over the back of Williams to try to block it.
Phillip Rivers impressed with what he's seen from Sorensen on this drive. 1st and 10 from just outside the 25. Looked like Smith got his feet tangled up with one of his offensive linemen in front of him. They lose 2 yards on the play. The clock continues to run. It'll be 2nd and long coming up.
Well, Michael Huey is now the center for San Diego, taking over for Chris Watt. Trevor Robinson, the backup center, is inactive tonight.
That play whistled dead on a 2nd and 12 play. Our referee, Walt Coleman, and it looks like Arizona burned a timeout. All tied at 9. Chargers have scored 9 unanswered, looking to take their first lead. Chargers' next game will be at home at the Q next Saturday, 7 o'clock on CBS 8. Chargers will have their annual salute to the military, special pregame and halftime activities. Tickets still available. Just visit Chargers.com. The Chargers well represented here tonight in Glendale. Spiro Ditas, Dan Fouts, Alex Flanagan. This is Brad Sorensen out of the gun on 2nd and 12. His pass nearly intercepted. And that time Sorensen fortunate right through the arms of Woodard.
That's a case where he did not anticipate the break by Williams here and waited too long. That's 4 steps out of the break for Williams. He should have that ball already in the air, but he tried to force it in there and is lucky it was not picked off. That's one thing that Sorensen really needs to work on, is anticipating the receiver's break.
Cardinals coming on the blitz, 3rd and 12. Sorensen feeling the pressure, finds Williams. 1st down, catch and run. What a play by Williams to move the chains. 14 yards. That time is Williams doing it with his legs.
Well, he gets inside the press coverage very easily. And now he gets lucky down the field because he's got Pettis working for him. And just enough yardage to get the 1st down.
Frank Reich called him a young Malcolm Floyd. He said he can fly, still raw in some ways, but showing some of his athletic ability on that sequence.
Yeah, there are going to be some tough decisions come cut down time. You get down to 75 players next week and then down to the 53 after the final game on December 5th. But Chargers loaded at wide receiver. Dontrell Inman picking a bad time to come down with a concussion in the 1st half.
There's so many guys, Dan, you're right, on the periphery in terms of those wideout spots. Austin Pettis starting to come on. Tough decisions that they'll have to make. The 2nd down pass is caught. That's the tight end, Kyle Miller. 2nd catch of this 3rd quarter for Miller. And the Chargers inching closer to the end zone. And that is enough for a 1st down. It'll be 1st and goal.
Good job by Sorensen getting back quickly. And that time he did anticipate the route by Miller. Watch Miller crossing and picking up the catch here. Puts the ball inside the 5-yard line.
First and goal. Smith taking on the pile inside the 2. As we are inside of 4 minutes. Lead blocked by David Johnson, but they're a little bit short.
This obviously is the best drive of the evening for San Diego. Frank Reich has got to be extremely happy how Sorensen is working things. He's overcome the interception. This is the 15th play of this drive coming up.
Sorensen, who threw the pick on his 1st possession, nearly intercepted a moment ago, but has him on the doorstep. Hands off. It is Smith, and he's into the end zone. And San Diego with its 1st lead tonight.
Yeah, Dreamus is going to keep that ball, isn't he? He's not letting go of that one. First NFL touchdown. I know it's just preseason, but it feels awful good for the rookie, as he's going to lower his shoulders right there. Good blocking up front on that left side. Chris Hairston with a key block. And now we'll see if Nick Novak can make an extra point. Hit the upright last time.
We've had a botched point after from both teams tonight. How does Novak fare here from 33 yards out? And this kick, not the prettiest of point afters from Novak, but he'll take it. 15-play, 72-yard drive capped off by the Smith touchdown. Boy, it's been a dangerous night for those Chargers kickers to see Mike Novak come up hobbled at the end of this extra point.
Watch his left foot. Gets into the ball good, and now he kind of rolls his left ankle.
Dan, it's amazing he was able to make that kick. That was his plant leg. So Mike Cyphers came up hobbled earlier, their punter, and now Novak may be done for the night. So this kid, the rookie Josh Lambo, will be handling both duties for the rest of the night. This is Kerwin Williams from deep in his own end zone across the 20 and out to the 23-yard line. So San Diego in front for the first time after the short touchdown run from Dreamus Smith. 7-point game. There's Mike Cyphers, came up with what appeared to be a groin injury earlier in the night. Chargers punter hurt, and there's Nick Novak, a kicker who appeared to kind of roll his left ankle, his plant foot on that last extra point. So and here's the rookie Josh Lambo.
Yeah, he's the guy now, right? Double duty, triple duty, he's handling the kickoffs as well. But because of Sorensen's interception and then that long 15-play, 72-yard drive, Chargers have not had to punt. But we'll see exactly whether Novak can continue and whether Cyphers, all Cyphers has been able to do is hold for the extra points and the field goal tries.
Well, as Novak came off the field after that point, it appeared as though Mike McCoy told him, "You're done." I have to think that the Chargers coach doesn't want to take any chances with his kickers. Let's get more downstairs with Alex.
Standing by with Danny Woodhead, who is also done for the night. So Danny, a veteran in this league. Tell me a little bit about why do we see the sloppiness in the preseason? It feels like the offense hasn't exactly been flowing tonight.
Well, you know, it's part of the preseason. I mean, every day we use to get better, and this is another day. It's a game. It's against someone that's not your teammate, and you know, there's going to be times where in all games where things may go wrong, but we've also had some nice plays also.
I know your head coach wanted to come out here and clean up a lot of the mistakes that were made in week 1. Are you going to hear from him after this game?
You know, I think watching film, there's going to be stuff that you're always going to have to do to get better, and you know, I'm sure there'll be stuff tonight, and I think there'll be some good things too, and we'll watch the film and go from there.
You came back in week 1 and got it going early. Talk us through a little bit about what it felt like to be back on the field after coming back from a broken ankle.
It was great. It was nice to be back out there just competing with another team and being in a game atmosphere. You know, OTAs and mini camp and training camp, that's not the same thing. And it's nice to just get back out there and compete with another team.
When you go through an injury like that, is there any doubt in your mind when you're getting back out there to kind of say, okay, I did it, and does the touchdown help you with that?
I don't know if it really helps. I think it was nice to get back out there and just play the game. Fortunately, I had kind of been back for a while with OTAs and stuff, so the mental aspect wasn't anything I was really worried about.
Well, it's good to see you back out there, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us a little bit, Danny.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Back up to you guys.
All right, Alex, thanks. What a stick by Adrian Phillips, the backup safety for the Chargers, the undrafted free agent. And so they continue to look at the injured Arizona Cardinal. It is Britton Golden, the man who's on the field. And another look at this vicious hit, and a clean hit at that, Dan. from Phillips.
Good timing, and you see he dropped his shoulder into the shoulder and midsection of the receiver. Did not go for his head, so the emphasis of safety in the NFL, good example of proper technique. He can still make a big play. He can still, knock a receiver out, but you've got to do it legally, as what Phillips did that time. Beautiful.
Phillips out of Texas. Garland, Texas native. Fourth punt from Drew Butler. This is Javante Herndon from his own 25, trying to find the edge. Herndon a little cutback, nudges forward to the 35. 53-yard punt from Herndon, from Butler rather, and Herndon on the nice little return. Seven-point lead for San Diego, late third quarter, back in Glendale, Arizona. Spiro Ditas, Stan Fouts, Alex Flanagan, Brad Sorensen trying to fight his way through the early struggles. And look at the difference, Stan, in what the offense has produced. Just one first down through the first quarter, 12 since.
Sorensen with 46 passing yards out of 5 out of 9. He'll throw the one pick, but he's been real good on that last drive.
Dreamus Smith on the touchdown run on their previous drive. A drive that went 72 yards, 15 plays. They chewed up over 7 minutes. As Juwan Edwards gets his first carry of the night, the rookie out of Ball State.
Chargers went with 3 tight ends on that first down play and picked up 4 yards on the ground.
Danny Woodhead started the game. Just heard him with Alex. Brandon Oliver took the bulk of the work in that first half of the touchdown run. And so the 5th different running back that we've seen from San Diego. We saw the Chargers start this drive with 3 tight ends. That time it's Kyle Miller on his 3rd catch, 6-yard pass play.
That'll be real close to a first down. Just about a length of the ball short.
Miller, the second-year man out of Mount Union. They'll call it a 3rd and short. There's Sorensen, former 7th-round pick of the Chargers in 2013. Spent that first year as their 3rd quarterback. Last year cut at the end of training camp. As penalty markers whistle that play. Again, it'll be a false start on the Chargers.
Number 79, offense. 5-yard penalty, go 3rd down.
Kenny Wiggins right there. You can see him move early. The reason he's moving early, the play was going to be run right behind him on the right side. There's Searles at right tackle, so that was going to be power play behind Wiggins and Searles.
4th penalty committed by San Diego. They've lost 25 yards as a result. Final 60 seconds of the quarter. Sorensen on 3rd and 6. He eludes the first man, somehow able to get it out, and it's incomplete. And how about that?
They're going to call pass interference against Shaquille Richardson. That was a hack-a-shack, I guess.
Pass interference, number 37, defense.
Bruce Arians is going to argue is that ball catchable. And I don't think so. So I think the Chargers get a break here. What a job by Sorensen. Oh, and he took a shot right to the face. Questionable whether Williams could have made that catch, but Robinson and somebody just yelled, ball was 20 feet over his head. That's the guy that said it, Bruce Arians.
Tyrell Williams, the rookie, the intended receiver. Well, don't tell Bruce Arians it's the preseason. 3rd Arizona penalty totaling 30 yards. But it was the play by Sorensen to keep it alive for the Chargers. Sorensen again under pressure. Completes quickly. It's Brian Parker, the rookie tight end. Inside the 25, first down pass play from Sorensen.
Yeah, the former Raider Matt Shaughnessy with good pressure. Number 91 here coming quickly into the face of Sorensen. This is a bootleg, and he doesn't see Shaughnessy till the last second. But a good job by Parker. Gets a block from his fellow tight end, Kyle Miller. Takes it down to close to the 20.
14-yard reception from Parker. Young man with a lot of athleticism. First and 10. Chargers will lose yardage on that play. Looked like it was Edwards, the ball carrier.
And we'll see a lot of Juwan Edwards and Dreamus Smith here in the second half as the third quarter comes to a close, and a very solid third quarter by the Chargers, both sides of the ball.
San Diego, after that very slow start, showing some things with their second stringers here in Glendale. Up 7 as we head to the fourth on CBS. University of Phoenix Stadium, Glendale, Arizona, 16-9 San Diego. In their second preseason game, Spiro Ditas, Hall of Famer Dan Fouts, Alex Flanagan, rest of our CBS 8 crew. Second and 12. This is Brad Sorensen out of the shotgun, keeps it on the ground to Edwards, the rookie out of Ball State. Edwards loses a yard, tackled by Josh Morrow, his first tackle of the night.
Yeah, this is obviously a big third down coming up for San Diego. Josh Lambo hit the 53-yarder at the end of the first half, may get another opportunity here.
Chargers had 9 first downs in that third quarter, compared to just 1 for Arizona. Third and 13. Sorensen's short pass for Edwards through his hands. Edwards has struggled in his brief stint here on in relief of Dreamus Smith, who had that short touchdown run late in that third quarter. And it looks like Lambo is going to come on to attempt another long field goal. Lambo hit earlier from 53 yards to close the first half. And this one will be from 35 for the rookie kicker. This one is on target, plenty of leg, and Lambo is having a pretty good night. So San Diego with 19 unanswered. That one officially a 43-yard attempt at 19-9. So first road preseason game, Dan, his roster continues to take shape. So much frustration for Chargers fans last season, the way the year ended in Kansas City. But Phillip Rivers, contract extension now behind him. Looking ahead, feels like this could potentially be a pretty special season.
Long overdue to win the West again. And I know Oakland, Kansas City, and Denver, they have the same goal and the same, they feel good about their chances as well. But that's really where it starts. You look at the years we've been in the postseason and got in there in 4 or 5 years in a row. We won the West. That gets you in for sure. Not worrying about can you squeeze in a wild card or get in there late in the year. Let's win our division games. When we're 3-3 or worse in the division, it's an uphill battle to get in the postseason.
And last year, just 2-4 in the AFC West. So Phillip nailed it perfectly. Got to win your division in order to make the playoffs and advance. I think the Chargers, with the depth that they have accumulated, will be in real good shape this season.
The closest that they feel they have been to Denver. Broncos, of course, winning the AFC West each of the last 3 years. But some of the distractions that San Diego's had to deal with, they put the Rivers extension behind them. And now they continue to look ahead with that regular season opener at home against Detroit, less than a month away. Third quarterback for Arizona will be the rookie Phillip Sims out of Winston-Salem State. Undrafted rookie free agent, 6'4", 210 pounds. Got some pretty big backup quarterbacks here behind Carson Palmer.
Yeah, and similar to Logan Thomas, is a real good athlete and a threat to make yardage on the ground as well as through the air.
First and 10. San Diego coming with some good pressure defensively. Dan, from what you've seen so far from San Diego, and it's so tough to evaluate a team in preseason. Starters play so briefly in this game. You're considering the players that are coming back from injury, guys that are trying to bounce back from injury. Where is this team, do you think, about 3 weeks away from opening day.
Well, I think that you have to be encouraged by the play of the defense tonight, especially in the first half when they got 6 sacks. And then on the other side of the ball, how well the second and third teamers have done offensively here in the second half.
6 sacks for Mike McCoy's defense in the first half. As that pass from Sims is caught, first down, it's Golden who had to be checked out by the trainers a moment ago. 15 yards and a first down.
And when you think about the preseason and defense, talking to John Pagano, he wants his defense to suffer some adversity, to force to have some long drives against them because it adds plays. The worst thing that can happen is a 3 and out, so guys don't get the repetitions during a game. And repetitions during a game are so much more intense than they are in practice, and you can learn so much playing against an opponent.
1st and 10. Sims, the rookie quarterback from the gun, going to air it out. And let's see, no penalty marker thrown. Some nice coverage on the play. Very physical defense from Richard Crawford.
And Bruce Arians,
marker is coming in late.
He's 30 yards out on the field, chasing the officials down. The armbar there by Crawford was good for about 20 yards. Bruce, a former quarterback in his playing days, irate on the sidelines.
Intended receiver was Jackson Shipley. And Arians is red hot.
Well, that's holding or pass interference. Chargers get another break. And an official gets another earful.
1st and 20 as they mark it from just inside that 30-yard line. Sims a little bit confused on that play. Throws near side. This is Marion Grice, the second-year man out of Arizona State. Let's go downstairs. Alex standing by with Manti Te'o.
Manti standing here coaching up some of the younger players out there as you watch them play defense. Assess this game for me. A great game, it seems like, for the linebackers.
Yeah, it's a great game for the linebackers. Great game for the defense. A few things we got to correct, but I thought overall we got after the quarterback well. And now we're just over here watching the younger guys get after it. So it's a good game.
What stands out in your mind as something that you have to correct?
Just be more consistent. I think there are flashes of us doing great things, and there was times where we weren't so great. So in order to be a great defense, we got to be consistent all the time.
I know you've struggled with some injuries over the last couple of years. You feel really healthy now. Tell us a little bit about where you feel like you've really elevated your game coming into this season.
It's just confidence. I think it's all about confidence, not only in the system, but what I'm supposed to do, what the other 10 on the field are supposed to do. And I'm just very grateful that I've been able to make that jump. And now it's all about going there and have fun.
I have a few players that I'm keeping my eye on. Who has impressed you? Who should we watch?
Today?
Just in general. Young player.
Nick, 48. You'll see Nick. He's around the ball all the time.
He had a sack.
Yeah. We have a lot of talent out there. And, it's just good to see a lot of the hard work that we put in during camp pay off for a lot of them and pay off for the first group too. So just to see them out there doing their thing, it makes all of us happy.
Really nice night for you. Thanks, Manti.
Thank you.
Low pass is caught. That's Grice out of the backfield. So another first down pass play. You'll forgive Manti Te'o not wanting to pronounce Nick's last name. It's a tough one to Zutner, the young rookie out of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
Do you think it was cold on the Charger sideline? A stocking cap, really?
Maybe.
Sweat it out. It's 106 degrees outside.
He's talked about trying to keep that weight down at Butler going with the same fashion statement.
That must be a linebacker thing. Those guys are crazy.
I'll say how frustration of dealing with the fractures in each of his feet over the past couple of years, 9 regular season games that he's missed. But last year, Dan finally able to end the season healthy, and he talked about what a huge mental lift that was for him.
And you look
so
at
far, he's had a very strong camp.
Yeah, Sparrow, you look at the stats there. He had 60 tackles on the year, and almost half of them came in the last couple of games. So that's what you want to see, is finishing off a season. Of course, got to be healthy in this game, especially as a linebacker. The foot problem really set him back.
He fractured his foot last season in week 3. 2nd and 8, quick strike by Sims on a crossing pattern and Shipley for a pickup of 8 yards. Teo also has talked about one of his goals this season of keeping his weight down. He played last year around 240. An undersized guy at the NFL level at only 6'1". He's talked about how much that has helped his speed as he gears up for his 3rd year in the NFL. You saw Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, on that Arizona sideline. This is 1st and 10. Sims going to take a shot near side for Shipley, and again Richard Crawford right in the thick of things for the Chargers, and Arians is hot again.
Richard Crawford, public enemy #1, and Arians wants to know how come he's not getting called for this contact down the field. And we're going to have to apologize for the language here as our microphones pick up the magic words. Surprised that the officials have not tossed the yellow flag at him, because there he goes again.
Looked like the official telling him, okay, we heard you.
I think everybody did.
Nice toss by Sims. It's Golden again. His 2nd catch, penalty marker comes in. If it stands, it's a 14-yard play with inside of 10 minutes to play, and San Diego in front by 10.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, 38 defense. That penalty to decline. Play results in a 1st down.
Manuel Esprilla, the rookie out of Boston College, will pick up the flag. And Arizona with another 1st down.
Yeah, Philip Sims doing a good job of reading the defense, staying in the pocket. But this is where he's dangerous. He has the ability to break one with his legs. Good size, 6'4", 210, and fast.
9th play of the drive. Philip Sims, the rookie out of Winston-Salem State, Chesapeake, Virginia native. On 1st and 10, showing his ability with his legs, finds the edge, close to the 10. Run out of bounds by Ryan Muller. 8-yard run from Sims.
Well, the pressure's going to come in here, and around the corner will go Sims. 44 is Ryan Mueller. And now Mueller's in chase position, and Sims runs out of room on the sidelines.
So 2nd and 3. Nice bleed block by Mueller on the play. Bryce the lone setback. Sims from the gun. Quick strike. Incomplete. Nice defensive recovery. It was Curtis Grant, the backup inside linebacker out of Ohio State, able to recover.
Yeah, good job by Curtis Grant here. This ball is up in the air for a while, and he almost picked it off. Yeah, you can see the disappointment there as he breaks the huddle. He had a shot at a pick right there.
Well, don't tell some of these backline players that this is a preseason game. This is the biggest moment in the careers of so many of these undrafted players. Certainly for a guy like Curtis Grant, trying to make a name for themselves and turn some heads on that sideline. Golden with another catch. And Sims, Dan, this rookie quarterback, as they move the chains again, has made some nice throws.
Well, and the good thing about that throw is it was low and away from the defense, where only Golden could make the catch.
Clock continues to run. 8 minutes, 18 seconds to play. 1st and 10 Cardinals. Chargers up 10. It'll be 1st and 10 from the San Diego 11. Sims. The handoff to Grice.
And Grice last year had an outstanding preseason for the Chargers. In fact, had a good game against the Cardinals in San Diego, and impressed the Cardinals so much that when Grice was put on the San Diego practice squad, the Cardinals snapped him up.
Drafted by San Diego in the 6th round last season. And someone who Tom Telesco and company very familiar with, as Dan points out. 7:24 to play, 4th quarter. Sims out of the shotgun, fires far side. Bryce on the catch. Walks a tightrope on the sideline, close to that first down marker. 5-yard pass play. As Arizona knocking on the doorstep.
Well, that's what Grice showed San Diego fans last summer, was the ability to make a tackler miss. And he sidestepped the first guy and got the ball close to the first down. Espria unable to make the tackle.
24 games from Grice in 2 seasons at Arizona State. As you see Sims' numbers, not bad for their number 4 quarterback tonight.
First team timeout.
Chargers will burn a timeout. Up 10 with 6 and change left. Well, for those of you watching tonight's game in San Diego, a special post-game edition of CBS News 8 will air immediately following tonight's game. Alongside Hall of Famer Dan Fouts, Spiro Ditas, Alex Flanagan, the rest of our CBS 8 crew. Speaking of Mr. Fouts.
Yeah, keep buying those jerseys. I think I get 4 cents for every one.
That is a good-looking retro jersey, as the Chargers faithful have come out here tonight in Glendale. Sims, the rookie quarterback, trying to lunge forward.
Yeah, he got the first down. That was the intention of that quarterback sneak.
4th quarterback we've seen from Arizona in this game. Carson Palmer started the night, and Drew Stanton, Logan Thomas. And now Philip Sims, the rookie out of Winston-Salem State. 1st and goal, Cardinals inside the 2, and they're into the end zone. Marion Grice.
Grice scored a 1-yard touchdown last week against Kansas City. Gets another 1-yard plunge here as he went in basically crossing the line standing up. Good athletic move by Grice to spin away from the tackle there.
Grice, the Houston native who appeared in 10 games last season. Point after from Catanzaro is good from 33 yards out. So the Chargers lead cut to 3 after the 77-yard drive from Arizona. Cardinals go 15 plays, 77 yards, just over 8 minutes. And Marion Grice runs it in from 1 yard out. There's Stevie Johnson. Dan, haven't mentioned his name much over the first 2 preseason games.
Yeah, hasn't been targeted hardly at all. 1 time last week and 0 times this evening. And here's a guy that caught 82 passes back in 2010 for the Buffalo Bills. His numbers were down last year with the 49ers, just 35 catches. But we'll see a lot of him in the regular season, as he and Keenan Allen are interchangeable parts.
3 straight 1,000-yard seasons in Buffalo, 2010 to 2012. Chance to play with an elite passer for the first time in his career. This is Titus Davis, pretty return up that near sideline. 6 minutes left in Glendale. Chargers by 3. Well, San Diego well represented tonight. Chargers fans gearing up for opening day. That poor young man had a bad wing, but a chance to catch a glimpse of some of his favorite Chargers here in Glendale, Arizona. 3-point lead for San Diego. Brad Sorensen, 7 of 12 so far tonight, 65 yards, had that early pick. That time intended for Kyle Miller. as we go downstairs. Alex Flanagan standing by with Stevie Johnson.
Yes, Stevie, so we're wondering, is Mike McCoy kind of trying to hide you as the secret weapon? He doesn't want to show you off in the preseason?
I don't know. If that's the case, I'm a little frustrated then, because I'm out there ready to get it, no matter whether it's preseason or season. But I guess we're trying to watch the health and go strong for the regular season.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the transition. Of course, you played in Buffalo, had a couple of incredible seasons there, then in San Francisco last season. What's the transition been like to this team?
It's surprisingly good. As far as the locker room, all the guys have been cool. They've accepted me. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's gonna make me better. Playing with the guys like Keenan, Jacoby, Malcolm, Antonio. It's gonna bring the best out of me.
A lot of people have been talking about the chemistry that you've been developing with quarterback Phillip Rivers, and I know it hasn't come without some work. I understand that you spent some time watching him on YouTube before you even came to this team. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I watched him, and just throughout his career, just like which quarterbacks I like to play with, and he was definitely at the top, which is why I'm here. But it's a day-to-day process, man. I just want to be good and be great for him and for this team, for the coach. Oh, big!
Out of bounds.
That's the boy right there too, Tyrell Williams. He's good, but like I was saying, I just want to be good, man. Coming in each day and trying to work on something.
We'll look forward to seeing you maybe next week or the week after or in the regular season. Thanks, Stevie.
Exactly. Thank you. Thanks for the time.
Back up to you guys.
Stevie breaking into the play-by-play. How about that reaction? And what an attempt by Tyrell Williams. Nearly incredible one-handed catch on that near sideline. Now the good news for San Diego, Mike Cyphers back onto the field, although may not be too good of news. He's limping his way now up the field.
Boy, Cyphers is in real pain. After he kicked that ball, he couldn't barely run at all. And you can see having trouble getting off the field. Maybe a mistake to put him out there to punt with a groin injury that he suffered in the first half.
3-point San Diego lead, 5:32 to play in quarter number 4. First road preseason contest for the Chargers after their 17-7 victory last week at home over the Cowboys. As the rookie Phillip Sims, 7 of 9, 72 yards on that last Arizona drive, as they're able to cut the Chargers lead to 3.
Yeah, he looked like his namesake, the great Phil Sims, our colleague at CBS, on that drive. It was an 8-minute drive for the Cardinals.
Sims started his career at Alabama in 2010, and on to Virginia before he transferred to Winston-Salem State. Has some time before he takes a hard hit on the throw, and it's caught. Now it's incomplete.
But they're going to get Chargers for pass interference, so it's as good as caught, and it's way down the field at about the 21-yard line.
Ryan Spadola was the intended receiver. Turns out to be a 44-yard penalty.
Defense. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
They're going to get Lowell Rose for the pass interference. Good pressure here on Sims as he gets drilled right there by Colton Underwood. But there's the grab by Rose and a near catch.
Rose, the second-year man out of Tulsa. 5th Chargers penalty of the night. 1st and 10. Short run play as they inch towards the 21. Marion Grice, who had the touchdown a couple of moments ago, pickup of a yard. There's Mike McCoy. He has worn a look of frustration for much of tonight.
Yeah, he always talks about penalties, and that was a real smart play selection by Bruce Arians, letting Sims air one out. You never know what might happen. And the worst case scenario for San Diego, pass interference.
Second and 9. Play action from Sims. Spria had a untouched path to Sims on that play. Got there a step late. Coming with the heat from the backside.
Yeah, and he forced that ball to be thrown incomplete. Watch number 38 here as he goes right through the gap. Sims feels him and throws the ball away. And Esprilla brings him to the ground right on his right shoulder there.
Esprilla, the rookie out of Boston College, 22 years of age. The undrafted rookie trying to catch on with San Diego. 3rd and 9 from just outside the 21. Pump fake from Sims. Pocket collapses. Laser throw by Sims is caught. First down, Arizona. Spadola, the second-year man out of Lehigh, with an 11-yard catch.
Real good pass protection that time for Sims, as he was looking all over the field. Watch his head looking to the right side of the field, faking the ball that way, all the way back to his outlet receiver, Spadola. Huge first down for Arizona.
Spadola, the Howell, New Jersey native, originally signed with the Jets as a rookie free agent back in 2013. Brief cup of coffee with the Dolphins practice squad. And now here in Arizona, Grice on the pitch play, and he's going backwards. San Diego defensively not fooled.
And that's Cordero Law. Good job coming off the edge there. Right here is Law, totally unblocked, and he makes sure that Grice goes down for a significant loss.
Law had one of their 2 sacks last week against Dallas. He has anointed himself the silent assassin. Loaded pass rusher out of Southern Mississippi. Acquired out of the CFL last season, played 3 games late in the year. Starting to really make an impact on the San Diego defense. That pass intended for Grice, incomplete. And here's some boos now from the Cardinals fans here.
Yeah, a few groans there because he was wide open in the flat, and he turned and looked up the field before he caught the ball. He knew he had running room. If he would have caught the ball, he might have taken it inside the 10-yard line, maybe all the way to the 5. Cardinals have 9 first downs here in the 4th quarter. This 10th one will be tough.
Sims from the shotgun on 3rd and 19. Throws it towards the end zone. Incomplete. Strong coverage by San Diego. Adrian Phillips was there. Ifeani Moma, the intended receiver, the backup tight end, and now the field goal unit onto the field for Arizona.
Yeah, Moma goes 6'7". He needed to be 7'7" to catch that one.
Canzaro onto the field. This will be a 37-yard attempt. And a chance to tie this game with under 3 minutes left. Hold is down, and the kick is good. So 9 straight for Arizona, and we're even at 19 with 2:51 left. Cardinals go 7 plays, 47 yards, and they cap it off with the 37-yard field goal. Here is the regular season home schedule coming up at the Q. They'll open up on September the 13th against Detroit. And then Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Oakland coming to town with some tough games down on the back end of that home schedule. KC, Denver, and Miami on December the 20th.
Yeah, the Bears and Cutler coming to town. Jay Cutler will renew his acquaintance with Charger defenders and Charger quarterback Phillip Rivers. That'll be fun to watch.
Dan, if you're a Chargers fan, biggest area of concern, everyone knows about the offense, players coming back, Danny Woodhead, the addition of Stevie Johnson and the emergence of Keenan Allen and some of the other players. It seems like defensively, that is the biggest question for this team. Can they hold up their end of the bargain as they get ready for the opener?
Yeah, I think you're right, Spiro. Also, I've always been concerned with the offensive line. And we'll see how they do next week with extended playing time against Seattle.
Titus Davis on the return from inside his own end zone. Crosses the 10 and ahead to the 14-yard line. Brad Sorensen will continue his night Early interception, but then recovered nicely.
So Sorensen will have 2 timeouts to work with and the 2-minute warning. But they are backed up deep in their own end of the field. Remember, Josh Lambo hit a 53-yarder at the end of the first half. So that's obviously well within his range.
Sorensen, all of his last 4. They work from the gun on 1st and 10. Nice strike to get the drive going. Near side of the field to Austin Pettis for an 11-yard first down catch. Clock continues to run, 2 minutes 30 seconds. As Sorensen hurries them to the line of scrimmage.
They need about 40 yards to get Lambo within range.
Lambo's got that big leg, hit from 53 yards at the end of the first half. Nice strike over the middle. It's Davis. Had the nifty return a moment ago, 16 yards. Back-to-back first down tosses from Brad Sorensen.
Well, he's getting time to throw. And now he'll have time to talk to Frank Reich and Mike McCoy on the sidelines. Try to get within Lambo's range.
2-minute warning. Sorensen looking for some late game magic here in Glendale. All tied at 19. Final 2 minutes from University of Phoenix Stadium. Brad Sorensen on in relief of Kellen Clemens. Can he lead them down the field? Final preseason home game coming up next weekend at home against the Seahawks. Chargers will have their annual salute to the military. 877-CHARGERS or visit Chargers.com with limited tickets still available. Plenty of Chargers fans still in the house. No Phillip Rivers for them tonight. Can Sorensen be the savior here in preseason week 2? First and 10 from just outside the 40 as that play whistled dead. A false start on San Diego.
False start, number 78, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Time of possession for the Chargers here in the 4th quarter, just 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And because of that penalty, now the Chargers need about 35 yards to get Lambo within a 50-yard field goal.
Lambo hit a 53-yarder at the end of the first half. 1st and 15 after the penalty from just outside the 35. Cardinals coming to the blitz. Sorensen, quick release, finds Davis. Second catch for Titus Davis, the undrafted rookie out of Central Michigan, physical receiver. And 3 yards.
He got out of bounds too, which is vital at this point of the game.
It'll be 2nd and 12. Phillip Rivers intently listening in on his headset. And Lambo continues to warm up on that Chargers sideline. There's Kellen Clemens. Began tonight as San Diego's starter. 2nd and 12. Sorensen under heavy duress. Incomplete. Intended for Williams, but Sorensen never had a chance.
Ross Weaver, number 43, comes totally unblocked. David Paulson late getting back, thought he had a man on the inside. It was a really well-designed blitz. They ran 2 guys at Paulson, and Weaver caused that incompletion.
Third and 12. Now the Chargers have burned a timeout. Mike McCoy
Team timeout.
and Frank Reich wanted to get it right.
30-second timeout.
Such a high-intensity situation, Dan. You've been in that scenario 1 or 2 times in your career.
I always found it was a fun time to be there because rarely do you see a quarterback get sacked. The defense kind of plays a little bit soft, although you saw the blitz that time, which was very effective. But that is really a dangerous thing to do with the blitz here, because if you get man-to-man coverage and if you get the pass blocking, you have a potential to get a big play. So a lot of teams, you know, you hear that term prevent defense. Well, they'd rather play zone to keep you from eating up yardage in a hurry, make you earn it down the field, and hope that time will run out on you.
Such a difficult situation for backups and third-string quarterbacks in this kind of situation. Such limited practice reps. Where does Sorensen go here on 3rd and 12 with a $1:48 left? Dreamus Smith, the lone setback. Quick drop, strike over the middle. It's caught. Tyrell Williams, first down, hook up.
And that's just what we're talking about. They come with the blitz. Williams has man coverage on the outside, gets a 13-yard gain to convert the first down.
13 yards and a Chargers first down. They've got one timeout left.
Hey, lucky that they got Williams by the shirt tail, too. He might have been gone. Blitz again.
First
same
and 10,
play.
crossing route right through Williams' hands. Sorensen put it right in his breadbasket.
And then C.J. Roberts had a shot at the interception.
A nice little pick run by Titus Davis, Dan, to give Williams all the space he should have needed.
And the good thing about the pick is he didn't have contact. He forced the defensive back to come underneath. He never saw the ball go off Williams' hands, or he might have had an interception.
Again, San Diego has one timeout left. 2nd and 10 from the 42. Sorensen hit as he throws. It's incomplete. Intended for Dreamus Smith. It'll be 3rd down coming up.
This is really interesting defensive play calling by James Beckster, the defensive coordinator for the Cardinals. He is coming after Sorensen with everything he's got. That time they broke through and caused that ball to be thrown poorly. Sorensen under real duress.
Cardinals last year 5th in the NFL in points allowed. Now going with their 2nd and 3rd stringers, trying to get this game to overtime.
And the thing here is it's 3rd down, but you obviously are going to go for it on 4th down, so you don't have to get all the yardage in one play.
3rd and 10. Sorensen trying to go back shoulder to Williams, and now a late marker comes in.
Oh, this is a big call here because the Chargers will be in field goal range here unless it's called holding against the Cardinals. If this is pass interference, the ball will be at about the 25, 26-yard line. And Bruce Arians is going to go
have to
nuts.
restrain Bruce Arians. Walt Coleman.
Defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, it's not pass interference, so it's just a 5-yard penalty, but it is, as Walt Coleman said, an automatic first down.
Wait a minute, it's only 5.
C.J. Roberts, the man called for the penalty. So they mark the football at the 42-yard line of Arizona. There's Lambeau, hit the 53-yarder earlier. Chargers still have that last time out in their back pocket. And 1st and 10 for Sorensen, who will work from the gun. Sorensen, the former 7th-round pick out of Southern Utah, trying to orchestrate a potential game-winning drive. Throws far side. It's Davis on the catch. Inside the 35, lunges to that first down marker, appears to be just short. 9 yards. What a catch and run by Davis.
Well, again, the pressure right up the middle on Sorensen hangs tough, and Davis pays it off with a super catch.
Chargers letting that clock run down. 40 seconds. Sorensen slings it far side, incomplete. Intended for Williams. Broken up by Roberts. It'll be 3rd and short. Dan, what part of the field is Sorensen looking at here? One timeout left.
You know, he has not gone to his tight end yet, and it's just because a couple of yards, there's a real opportunity. Paulson is his tight end. He's an excellent receiver. But the Cardinals have been blitzing, so the tight end has had to stay in and block a lot.
And maybe one more shot before Lambeau comes on for the kick. 3rd and 1. Crossing route over the middle, first down, pass play. What a throw and catch. Pettis on the first down reception.
And well within Lambeau's range now.
Pettis making some catches, has looked very impressive in the second half.
That may be the last offensive play for the Chargers. They'll bring out the field goal team right now. Looks like it'll be about a 47, 48-yarder.
It will be a 47-yard attempt. San Diego takes its final timeout.
I am so impressed with Brad Sorensen on this drive. It seemed like every play he had pressure right in his face and was able to deliver catchable balls and move the team to this point where Lambeau, just as he did at the end of the first half, can knock one through.
So here comes the Lansing, Michigan native Josh Lambeau. Hit the 53-yarder earlier, just as that first half expired. He's got experience with game-winning kicks at a 33-yard field goal to win a game for Texas A&M back in 2013. They beat Ole Miss, most accurate kicker in Texas A&M history. Nick Novak limped off the field, so Lambeau with a chance to turn some heads on that San Diego sideline. Lambeau from 47 to win it. On target, and it is good. Josh Lambeau, the rookie kicker, wins it as time expires for San Diego.
Not only was it good, it was perfect. The goalpost could be 3 yards wide, and this would have split them perfectly. Plenty of leg, accuracy, good snap by Wint, good hold by Cyphers. And the rookie puts it through. Fantastic.
And Dan, how much can you say about Brad Sorensen, who started the game so shakily? Had the communication issues with his helmet, couldn't get the play calls early, had the early pick. But boy, did he settle down and marches him down the field as Lambeau wins it.
Well, remember where they started the drive. They were deep in their own territory there. Started at about the 14-yard line. Sorensen on the night, 13 of 25 for 122, but his ability to hang in the pocket with all that pressure right in his face and deliver the ball, lead his team down the field, and let this man finish it off.
Josh Lambeau, the rookie, boots it in from 47 yards out. And the San Diego Chargers go to 2-0 in the preseason. They win it 22-19. For those of you watching us on the Chargers Network, you'll be leaving us now to return to your local stations. Those of you on CBS 8 in San Diego, our post-game coverage is coming up next. Again, the final 22-19 will continue next from Glendale.